Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this video, which is not a podcast. Um, in light of current events, we figured it was just really not the time to podcast our normal podcast where we have lighthearted games discussions, hangouts, all with sponsors that we monetize. And instead of doing so, we wanted to get on here and record a short little video just telling you guys that we are supporting. I am supporting. We are supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. We are proud of people out there using their voice and protesting. And this is a big moment in our history, and it's a moment of change, and it's a moment of movement. There's a big movement happening right now, and in light of all of that, we just felt like we couldn't, do our normal podcast. So here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that we're speaking as people. Like, there's no script, or we did not try and plan anything to say. So if we say anything that's not 100% perfect, just know that it's coming straight from our heads and our hearts. And we do try our best to stay somewhat out of politics, but this to me is not a political issue. This is a human rights issue, and this is a systematic oppression, brutality against African Americans in our country. And there have been riots for years. There has been demand for change for years, and we have truly reached a boiling point. And for us to, I think Julian and I have sat here through many years of we have a conversation about what feels appropriate, depending on what's going on in the world. And sometimes we sit and have a discussion about it because I think that's what people in our audience would like. And maybe some of you would want that right now. But to sit here and, sort of read a sponsor and have a normal podcast just feels a little inappropriate at the moment, and we want to act on that rather than anything else. It's a lot.
Yeah, and we're aware of our privilege, and we're completely trying to use any sort of moment that we have your guys' attention to let you know that this should not be ignored. And I do just want to reiterate, there's a lot of you guys. I've seen a lot of you guys. I do follow a lot of you, and you're protesting, and you're out there, and you're using your voice, and you're making me proud. And I want you to know, whether you're out in the streets protesting, or you're using your voice online, or you're talking to your friends and family, that this is truly it's a tipping point in our country. And you are either on the side of human rights and on the side of Black people who have been constantly oppressed and mistreated by a systematic faulty government for years and years and years and years and years, tons and tons of times, over and over, or you're on the wrong side of history. And I want you to know that we appreciate you guys using your voice, and we're trying within what we can do, what we have the ability to do, to be vocal as well, and to support as well. We stream on Twitch, and the last handful of streams we've done, and actually, to be honest, the next foreseeable future of all the streams we're going to do will be in efforts to raise money for organizations supporting Black Lives Matter, and supporting the protests, and supporting the people of this country who deserve the support and need the support and have been without the support for far too long. So if you do want to hang out with us, so to speak, online, Twitch is a good place right now for that, because we're going to be continuing our charity efforts there. And yeah, I mean, we just wanted to get on here and kind of have a heart to heart with you and just kind of talk about what's going on for a quick moment and explain why it's not a regular podcast and why we're not playing Heads Up 7 Up with, our sponsors. And, we are not sorry. We're not sorry for the lack of content. We're not sorry to our sponsors for having to, cancel this episode. Obviously this video won't be monetized. We will include links in the description for many different ways that you can support what's going on. In addition, we will we'll link the bailout funds for people who are being arrested in the protests, where you can support there, because that is a huge help, especially right now with all the cities across our country in protest.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand, just if maybe, you're not in the United States and some of it feels a little not close to home to you, imagine how fed up people have to be in order during a global pandemic to gather in the sizes that they have to protest the police brutality in this country against Black people. It's literally like people do not care
anymore. The plague is going on and people are in the streets.
So sick and tired.
Yeah.
And it should have never happened. And we will not stand for it ever happening ever again. And that's how tired we are of this in our country. And it's just a month ago, people are in their homes and panicked about getting sick. And now we're seeing protests all over the country in just massive quantities. That's how tired we are of this.
Yeah. Also, I'm not any sort of expert on I don't think anyone really is, but on protests and on precautions you can take. But I do know that it is important to both, if you're out in protest, travel in groups, have a buddy, have a backup method of communication. They're shutting down cell service, they're signal jamming, and
allegedly.
Also wear face coverings, not only for the virus, but for identification purposes. You don't want to be able to be easily identified. Obviously, again, I've not been out there yet, and I don't claim to know everything, but I just want you guys, if you are going out there, if you are choosing to protest out in the streets, just try to take as many precautions as you can, because we don't want any of you guys to...
I don't want people to get sick. I don't want people to get hurt. I care. The majority of the people around you care about you. And it's a hard time right now for everybody. Everyone is hurting. Everyone is sad. Everyone is fed up and sick and tired. And this is just an expression of our collective hurt. And that change has to happen.
Yeah, it has to happen. And it's coming to a point right now where everyone has had it. And people have had it. And it's very clear with what's going on in the streets that people are just, they don't give a fuck, and they shouldn't give a fuck, because this is the moment where movement needs to really start happening and really needs to affect change.
Yeah, that's why we are not podcasting. This is just we wanted to let you know.
Yeah.
But we had a conversation all weekend,
Yeah.
It's difficult sometimes, when you pre-record something. We don't want to start talking about something when in a matter of days that information changes. I mean, it's the same as anything else,
Right.
By the time many of our podcasts have been posted, the information has changed. And
yeah, we don't record the day it goes out, just for those who are unaware. I mean, we generally record a handful of days in advance of Monday, which is when our podcast goes live. So we are currently recording this on a Sunday. Honestly, we'll probably likely push this out on a Sunday. I don't see the point in waiting. Again, I think this should be not only on YouTube, but I think we can maybe push this to the listening platforms as well, just so people have a word from us if they're looking, if people listen to our podcast and don't watch it. Again, check the description if you are looking for ways to help. Thank you again to all of you for being a community that we are proud to call our own, honestly, because I've seen so many of you just being wonderful and being humans and supporting each other and standing up for what's right. So thank you guys. And we hope to see you, for a normal podcast sometime soon, but only time will tell. We're in the middle of history right now.
Yeah.
I've
been on the internet for 10 years. I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff in the world, and the best thing that I can say is that you have to just do what feels right to you. And right now, creating content that is otherwise distracting feels wrong to me. So we're not going to do that. And when it feels like it might be an appropriate time to do something else, we'll do that. But I can't sit here and pretend like I'm not angry and heartbroken and la-di-da.
Yeah.
So we're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's that.
All lives don't matter until Black Lives Matter, you guys. Thank you for listening and being here. We'll see you soon.